Nope, no cheesy intro this time. The outfit is enough. So here's the Zombie Tools Sharkalope. I know that many of you have been waiting for this review. I've tested it and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. I'm not going to talk too much about the material and how it's assembled because I went over that in the other reviews of Zombie Tools blades. It's the same kind of thing, same 5160 steel, same assembly with the steel handle scales riveted to the tang and then wrapped with leather, and same kind of finish. So it's all the same except the overall shape and the thickness. This is one of the lightest blades that Zombie Tools offers. It's probably the lightest blade at that size, and it's a lot thinner than, say, the Reaver Cleaver. So this is offered for $320 US on their website. I'm going to post a link down below. And I also have to point out that this was sent to me for free as a review sample. Of course, I'm going to try to not let that influence my opinion, but gotta be honest, bias can be harder to discover and kill than a zombie, so it's worth pointing out. Anyway, so about the actual sword itself. It's influenced by Filipino swords, and I've got one here. You can see there are some similarities, has the same kind of shape at the end of the handle and minimal guard. Overall shape is not too different. So personally, I have no experience with Filipino martial arts. I've just seen a few demonstrations, and it seems to be designed with quick wrist cuts in mind and a lot of close infighting where you control the opponent's arm and then countercut. So this is designed to be a very fast cutter. I don't know if they use thrusts traditionally, but since it's tapered pretty strongly, you can easily thrust with that. Also because there is this guard, so it's not gonna make your hand slip up onto the blade. There is also this unsharpened section here, if you want to call that a ricasso in this case. So you could put the finger up there for more point control if you wanted to, or more control in the cut. So the overall shape is pretty interesting. It's definitely fantasy-ish, even though it has some influences from traditional designs. And it has the same post-apocalyptic finish as other Zombie Tools blades. The nice thing about that is, even if you use it hard, like if you do wood chopping and any kind of abusive test, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I mean, you can, I don't know if you can see that depending on how I move it in the light. You may be able to see some scratches, but on a blade like this, that's not a problem. If you have a mirror polish blade, that can be a bit of a nuisance. In this case, any kind of wear and tear just kind of adds to the overall character, because it already, even when it's new, it already looks kind of used to begin with. I'm sure I talked about that in other videos, so let that be enough. The sharpness is not amazing, but it's alright. It does cut regular paper, and it does the job. In fact, if you get the edge alignment right, it cuts light targets surprisingly well. I say surprisingly because when I look at the grind here, this really looks more like an axe grind than a sword grind, because it's a pretty obtuse angle. It's kind of thick. Just eyeballing the edge geometry, I would estimate that the angle is over 30 degrees. It might even be as much as 40. So that's really an edge that I would expect to see on a splitting axe, perhaps, and not a light blade. So I just looking at that and feeling the edge, I would not have expected this to cut well at all. But in fact, it does. It's pretty decent. So I'm assuming that is because the blade is so light, you can generate really good velocity. And that is a big factor with the blade, especially when it's not super sharp. If the edge was more like 20-25 degrees, I would think would work even better. Generally, the purpose for an edge grind like this is durability. If you want to chop or split wood with an axe or clear heavy underbrush with a machete, then yes, it's good to have a stronger, thicker edge. But even though this is designed clearly with durability in mind, I don't think it's necessary. I probably, once again, said that before in the other reviews. I don't quite remember. Considering how well it already cuts with a really good shaving edge, this would be amazing. So this is kind of wasted potential, in my opinion, as far as the edge is concerned. So this already gets out of the way my only complaint. Well, there's one more thing that I can complain about, namely the scabbard is ultra ridiculously tight. So as you can hear, it snaps in place, but the problem is then getting it out is pretty hard. So this may be just on this particular one, but you really have to give it a good tug. Not exactly what you'd want in the post-apocalypse, standing there like, just give me a moment. But they do also make leather sheaths, so that's another option. Other than that, what I've noticed is that the upswept tang here can beat up the handle a little bit depending on how and what you cut. If you choke down to get a bit of additional leverage and then cut into hard material, this can transfer a lot of shock to the finger. Not a big deal because this kind of shape generally has a tendency to do that, but at the same time it also has the advantage of locking your hand in place, so you're not going to slip and have this thing flying out of your hand. And also, if you stay further up, then this is not a problem at all. As far as the handling is concerned, overall, the grip is really comfortable. They really got the leather wrap right. I think I already said that about the previous one. So this feels really good. It also looks quite nice. It fits really well with the overall post-apocalyptic theme. And it gives you really good grip. Also, if it's wet, the leather is going to soak up some of the moisture. So no problem there at all. And the way it handles is really nice. This is super light. I mean, you can move this extremely easily. You can, with a wrist flick as well as tightening the bottom two fingers, you can get a pretty good cut that way with pretty minimal effort. And as usual, zombie tools, it's close to indestructible. You can abuse the crap out of it and it's still going to hold up really well. It doesn't bend, it doesn't take a set, it doesn't break, the edge doesn't chip, the tip doesn't break off or anything like that. For some harder abusive testing, I've thrown it into a log round I found at the beach, and that certainly takes its toll on the blade. You can see how much it flexes after each throw. This is a good test of how strong the point is, with it slamming into the wood and being extracted over and over again. If the steel is either too hard or too soft, or if the point is too thin, it may snap or it may bend, but there's no problem at all. There's some tiny little bit of material rolled over, but it's hard to see. You have to get very close, and it's extremely minimal. I've definitely beat up the surface of the blade. That's mainly from a few missed hits where it slammed into the sand, and of course there are pebbles and all kinds of stuff, so very abrasive materials that the blade crashes into, and of course also chopping wood tends to scratch it up as well. Again, not a big deal because of the overall design. It doesn't really show up negatively, at least in my opinion. And finally, what I have to mention positively is just how tight the fit is. If you take a closer look at how perfectly the handle scales fit onto the tang, it's quite remarkable. It's so precisely fitted and well finished that it almost looks like it's all one piece. And that covers it. That's all that comes to mind. So, as you can probably guess, I find it really easy to recommend it. It's very well made. The only thing, as said, that I would like to see improved is the edge. Have a finer, sharper edge. That would be nice. As it is, I'll have to spend quite a bit of time grinding it to change the edge geometry. And it's a bit of a shame. It has a lot more potential for cutting, even though it's already pretty decent as it is. So, otherwise, yeah. I would definitely say that it's worth the price. I know that $320 to some people sounds like a lot of money. I understand that. But for a sword, it's not that much really. And especially for the quality, I do think it's worth it. So, that's it. Thanks for watching. And happy zombie killing, I guess.